Welcome to the e-commerce growth show, brought to you by Segmentify.
Hello everyone, this is Carlos again for another special episode of the e-commerce growth show. This is the New Year's edition, so it's it's a bit different edition that we're doing. And I'm honored to be joined today by Michael Vax. We had a super cool conversation last week. Michael has an incredible breadth of experience in e-commerce and retail, really, technology for the most part. But Michael, instead of having me, talking a lot about your career, I think the most important, and I always ask the same question. I start off with the big picture sort of question. So who are you, man? I mean, your career is amazing. You've worked at Elastic Path, SAP HYBRIS, a bunch of e-com platforms. Now you have an e-commerce school, so to speak, as well, or a digital commerce, not only e-commerce, but digital commerce school and course. So maybe you can introduce yourself, and then we get to, why education is really important these days. And we talk about technology and a bunch of other stuff that we spoke last week. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I kind of done a lot of different things in my life because I've had a long career for quite a substantial amount of time. Probably half of my career I was doing real stuff, actually doing development. Then crossed to the bad side and started to manage people and running organization. But joking outside, about 15 years, for the last 15 years, I'm doing e-commerce. I really was very lucky to work with a number of e-commerce platform vendors. I was CTO of Elastic Path. I was head of commerce at SAP HYBRIS. I was VP of product for Spryker, this is German e-commerce, upcoming e-commerce platform. So that's really kind of gave me a lot of experience. And when I started on this journey, I kind of haven't expected that it's going to take me that long. And it's also, I'm going to stay in e-commerce. When I started in e-commerce, like 15 years ago, I thought, okay, what to do there? There's a shopping cart. There's already a lot of different software that can implement shopping cart. But we all who are connected to industry saw just how amazing this journey was and still is. Like it's growing like crazy. It's getting into more and more different industry and different use cases. So it's a fun place to be, a lot of innovation. And I'm just enjoying doing this. And at some point, I also understood there's a need to start sharing my experience and to help industry to grow because so many new businesses coming to e-commerce and with everything growing, people are really missing people who are trained, people who understand e-commerce, understand big like best practices and things like that. So that's kind of led to my last chapter in my career, hopefully not last, but the current chapter in my career, that I started CommerceIsDigital, which is statement. This basically saying every commerce, doesn't matter what you're doing, any commerce is digital now. And I'm focusing on training professionals who involved in implementing e-commerce, and also doing consulting and helping different businesses to find the digital commerce roadmap.
Very nice. So thanks for sharing that. Before we get into the commerce part, so you are originally from Russia, Moscow. Then you moved to Canada. You studied engineering, is that it? According to your LinkedIn?
Well, what I studied actually physics.
Physics, nice.
Yes. Physics, optics, lasers, and things like that. But right in the university, I kind of got involved in software development and spent all my life in software development. Never worked in physics.
And how about
missed
that?
Opportunity.
So you had the first job at Schnex. I don't know the name of the company, if it exists as an e-commerce.
Do we really need to go that far?
It's interesting. It's interesting because we're gonna, the reason why I asked those questions, and I told you about your journey as a hero, we're gonna talk about commerce, and they're really interesting because what I want to know you worked at that company, and here it says some time ago, and you worked there. And what was different from commerce today? Because I think it's interesting to define maybe commerce maybe a little down the road, but what changed? You know, what are the changes? Because you said it started with a shopping cart, fine. And today, what's changed? You know, and then we're going to talk about new business models. We spoke about marketplaces. We spoke about, so there are so many interesting things in that journey. And that's really what where I want to get at.
Okay. Probably at the beginning of career, I was not involved in e-commerce. E-commerce hasn't been invented at that time. Yeah, I was developing a number of email systems, communication system, e-learning systems. When I was doing email, I really need to explain to people what it is. What do I do? So it was that a long time ago. But returning to e-commerce, I think that one thing that really changed is how businesses started to look at e-commerce, because initially it was, okay, I have my business, I have my retail, or in B2B, I have my sales channel, my sales force, my distributors and all that. And it's working very fine. But now this is internet coming and everybody's saying I need to have a website, and then I probably need to put some information about my products there. So this kind of was how it's all started. And then, of course, innovative companies went more than beyond just putting their catalog online, but they provided transactional capabilities. But still, e-commerce was seen as a kind of separate thing on the side. Yeah, I remember having discussion with people saying, okay, why should we invest in e-commerce? E-commerce is just 1% of our revenue and 99% is there. Yeah. And at that time, people haven't even thought that the fact that people can discover product on internet contribute to the traditional channels as well. Yeah, there was no way to measure it on all of that. Yeah. So we went beyond there, and kind of e-commerce became industry by itself. And people started to really put attention to this as number of e-commerce, specialized e-commerce platform software has been developed. Yeah, and I was part of this journey and leading this development in a number of companies. So e-commerce became as important, or sometimes even more important than traditional channels. There also were a lot of successful companies who are kind of online only.
Like the pure players.
Pure players, yeah. Then the brand kind of started to think about, okay, we have these multiple channels now, those online channels, the traditional channels, but so we kind of have multi-channel, but it's all kind of separate, yeah. And when customer is coming to our store, we have no idea what he bought online. And when coming online, we don't know that he's already has a membership in our loyalty program and registers in store. Yeah? So that was obviously a problem, because customers want to have a standard experience with a brand. Yeah, that's really, they don't care about channel. So this led to omnichannel evolution, kind of next step into this. So when you're coming to online store, they know who you are. And when you come to a retail store, they also know who you are. So kind of this information about customers started to share about across the channel. And now we are in phase when it's not only customer, you know about who's customer, but we also have order fulfillment and purchasing process unified across channel. So here comes a scenario when buy online, pick up in store, buy in store, return online. And basically it's really, you're treating all this customer journey. Customer can cross from one channel to another. It's not about knowing about customer, but customer journey in transactional journey can cross across channels. So this is the stage where we are right now. This is kind of one of development that I'm really excited about. I was just walking on the street yesterday and told my wife I need to stop and take picture for my blog. And she kind of, okay, we're just walking on the street, yeah. why I did it, because I saw a supermarket with a outside they had big set of lockers built in with click and collect written
right.
big letters. Yeah. So now we kind of see that industry jargon becoming part of our everyday life. Yeah. So here we see that like this modern supermarket that allows people to walk in and buy, allows people to buy online, and when store is, they can still come to the store may be closed already, but there are lockers when they can really collect the foods that they bought. Yeah. So this is a quite interesting sign, and of course accelerated by pandemic. So
yeah, very interesting.
One of the things.
I think it's really interesting what you're saying. We're gonna get to the school and education part because I love it. But for example, you said that, well, when commerce started, the e-commerce, sorry, it probably didn't even represent 1% of the revenue of some businesses. Let's call them legacy businesses, right? And today, for example, I have one of the guys who run the e-commerce growth show with me in the US. His name is Scott Emmons. When he left Neiman Marcus, the e-commerce represented 35% of the total revenue of the business. So I think they were doing nearly $1 billion coming from the e-commerce. One guy, or Mariano from Vitex, you know, Geraldo, right?
Yeah.
Mariano used to say that when e-com reached the 10% point in revenue, it's usually when the executives, they would say, whoa, you know, this is some serious stuff. How do you see that? Do you see a change in, let's talk about the mind of boards and executives these days? And because I think that's very important, right? When we're talking about technology adoption, digital adoption, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think there's other realization happening is not only kind of what is percentage of my revenue, because people stop seeing this as a separate channel. The question is, how much of this online presence contribute to my other channels?
Nice.
And this is much important. Then all of a sudden you're saying, hey, it's actually instead of it's maybe 10%. I can, my ERP shows it's 10%, but in reality it probably affects half of my business. Yeah. So you can also, I'm really excited about how things are happening also in B2B channel. Yeah. And then you're also saying, hey, how e-commerce or online tools can help my sales team to be more productive. So we're talking about traditional channel, enterprise sales team, B2B sales team, working directly with customers, but they are not taking orders by phone or by email and typing in some unusable ERP interface or order management system. They're actually using all the power of e-commerce, optimized, usable, great customer experience tools to do it. Yeah. So the question is, for an executive mind, should be how my digital commerce tools and my investment in digital commerce can increase productivity of my sales team. How to make them to focus more on helping customers with complex questions, kind of sharing their expertise versus taking recreative orders. Yeah. How we can optimize request for quote process with digital tools. So it's completely different ball game now, because we also see conversions of physical retail with digital. Yeah, there's other very interesting trend. So yes, 10% is absolutely a good threshold, but I think now people are not looking at them as separate. So overall, how it affects my business in a big way. This is how it affects your business. Yeah.
That's interesting. And so I think that's the perfect segue maybe to talk about education these days, because I think you have various scenarios when you have to talk about digital strategy or digital commerce strategy, you know, because you have social, you have infrastructure, you have so many contact points for a customer to start their journey. And what I want to ask you then is like, when you're consulting clients, and I'm sure you're not consulting small fish there, you know, what's the typical assessment that you do? Because you showed me a really nice scheme that you have in your e-commerce school. We're going to promote that as well. But what is usually an assessment? So you can start a conversation with a client. Let's say that they're in retail, they're not in B2B. We can talk about B2B soon. But what's usually an assessment you do so you can start consulting them and helping them in that journey? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I kind of one of the things that I was trying to create is that I wanted to identify kind of common patterns in digital commerce, and the patterns that are applicable across different industry and different type of businesses. Because if you do that, then you can start sharing best practices and learning, again, across all different type of industries and different type of businesses. My experience really helped me because, especially when I was at SAP HYBRIS, I started my work there by developing e-commerce solution for industries that you usually not associate with e-commerce. We developed solution for telcos, for insurance companies, for travel industry, even for government.
Right.
And by doing this, actually, it helped me to identify that, yes, they are very different businesses. But when it comes to digital commerce, all of them have products in catalog. Product can be insurance policy, or product can be your mobile cell phone plan, or product can be just clothes or some piece of electronics. But it's still a product. The same, you go through checkout experience, you go through product discovery and all that. So that kind of exposure to all different industries and B2C and B2B helped me to kind of actually pushed me to start thinking about how do I structure it. And then also when I started to develop my course, I needed to have structure. I didn't want it to have kind of, where do you start? Yeah,
exactly.
So I created this digital commerce canvas. I like overall canvas approach. I think we're all familiar with this, with the business canvas, with lean startup canvas. So that was kind of a good way to look at it, because I always start conversation from kind of, I want to go top down, because some companies start developing the e-commerce requirements just in old RFP way, with a really huge 2,000 line spreadsheet where very important points are mixed with some miniculous feature requests. So I wanted to go from top down. So this way I developed this digital commerce canvas that basically starts with 4 fundamental questions. Who are your customers and how you reach them? What are products and how you help customers to find them? Then what's your pricing? How much you charge? And the fourth one kind of goes to the customer experience part. What's kind of your buying experience? So then I really created this canvas that has these 11 components: customers, channels, product discovery, product merchandising, how to connect your products together, your prices, promotions, shopping cart, checkout, payment, and orders.
Would you like to share? I have never done that. If you like to share that now, you are most welcome, Michael, for whoever wants to.
Just want to share my screen?
Yeah, if you like, I mean, by all means.
Sure. If you can pause maybe recording for a moment.
Yeah. All right, Michael, thanks for this. I didn't prepare you, so here we go.
Sure.
But thanks for sharing. I think it's
no problem.
Really nice.
So basically I want to define the canvas that will give people kind of high level overview of the business, and also start kind of force people to answer the main questions and structure their thought when they think about the e-commerce. So as I said, there's 4 questions. What are your customers and how you reach them? Products and offers, how much you charge people, and what's your customer buying experience? And then it basically goes to these 11 blocks that I define. So again, talking about customers, products, merchandising and product discoveries, prices, promotion, shopping cart, checkout, payment, and orders. That's really the main components of any e-commerce system. It doesn't matter what you sell. Right. And it doesn't matter what's your business, yeah? And then maybe I'll skip this to kind of not to bore your customers, but basically you can end up with your commerce representation of your business on high level, on this level. It can be one page, can be 2 pages. So when I'm working with customers, I'm actually walking them through this process. Mm-hmm. And because not everybody has the same level of knowledge on e-commerce and functionality. Sometimes I also combining this with my course because I'm explaining to people what is merchandising, mm-hmm. what you can do. Do you know how to use merchandising? What options you use? How, okay, you are not in this industry, but this industry or B2C, you in B2B, but B2C is using this way. What can you borrow? What you can learn from them? Yeah. So I maybe also show you a couple of slides. No. Okay, it's a little, I don't want to bore you much, but basically.
No, you're not boring at all. I think, you know, if I may just say something here. So first off, thanks for sharing, Michael. And I saw something very similar when I was working very closely with Mariano. They developed a course called Ecom, you know, basically e-commerce or commerce, let's call it commerce, is so complex because each one of these boxes you're sharing is a competence that, you know, of course it depends on the size of the brand or retailer, but it's a competence that you need to have in-house. So for customers, you had maybe 5 or 6 sub items, and then you have logistics, and then you have search, and then you have pricing, and it's very complex, you know, loyalty, right? And so I think sometimes people just don't grasp that complexity that it has, right?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the interesting, I also want to show you, for example, from one of my customers, which that's actually a result of what we went through them, yeah. And we also use colors to highlight the functionality that they have now, or functionalities they want to have in the future, yeah. We also added more stuff because B2B customers, we added also some features for B2B for them, yeah. And it's really great, creates you kind of, you can create this canvas and then you can share with your team inside your organization and say, here, this is what we're going to do. This is why we need, and this is why. And then, of course, you can go into different level of details and flows and decide how your products are flowing, how your orders are processed, and so on. But this is a place to start. And this is kind of why Canvas really helped. And I also organized my course based on this Canvas structure. Because again, when you're teaching something, you need structure most of all. For sure. So do it. So the Canvas really helped me to organize this information. And the reason I kind of came up with the idea, of course, because I saw many businesses struggling with actually implementation part. They have talented and smart people who do know their business. But in most cases, these people don't have e-commerce experience or have limited e-commerce experience. And well, basically, whatever you implement, your implementation will be as good as your team. That's obvious when you think about it, yeah? To get really experience in e-commerce, or probably in every industry, takes many years of, well, experience doing this, yeah? And now we kind of finding ourselves in a situation when every business is accelerating on the digital commerce initiative, which means they're expanding, or many businesses who actually still don't have proper e-commerce starting on it. So all of a sudden, really demand is growing, but you cannot get experienced people, like pool of available experienced people increase at the same pace. It's just impossible. So, okay, you can continue stealing people from each other, yeah, That's one way of doing, but you're also not only going to get people, you're going to lose people. And it's also, if you really want to transform your business, this knowledge of e-commerce should be really integrated into all parts of your organization. It shouldn't stay in IT. Yeah, your business people need to have it. Yeah, so this is why I also try to make this course basically not technical. You need to be in business, you need to understand the business, you understand how business operate, but I want to teach people digital commerce, not kind of what programming languages to use to do it. Yeah. I see this big gap in educational services and materials that provided. There's a lot of things that kind of, okay, I'm a small seller, I want to start dropshipping business on Shopify. There's a lot of courses for this, yeah, or a lot of materials for this. There's also a quite substantial amount for developers. Okay, how to develop on Magento. But there was nothing that was focused kind of on business and operation and implementation for professionals involved into doing this. Yeah. So I created course and actually had people taking this with different roles, developers, project manager, salespeople, program manager, director of e-commerce. It's really touching all different areas because it introduces fundamentals of digital commerce. I'm using, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah. I find it fascinating because on the one hand, we have, sometimes I don't know if I get annoyed at it, but we have too much money in the world and funds and VCs, they have a logic and they just want to squeeze as much dollars as they can, you know, but they're just squeezing stuff. And then here you don't have people who are educated or experienced enough to make stuff happen. So what happens in the market is what you're saying. People are just paying top dollar price for talent, when actually the most fundamental problem we have or challenge, let's say, in society today is education, right? And I mean, we live in a digital society where everything, there's no going back. And we can talk about NFTs and all the trends that you see today. Yes. You know, because it's all part of commerce. Everything is commerce. Everything is interconnected. And so I find that topic so interesting, Michael, you know, that a guy at your stature and level has come to the realization that, well, I shouldn't maybe join a new company. I should focus on education, you know, and help, you know, because that's the only way for society to better, being more philosophic here, you know, and to have more people understanding about commerce, you know, learning how to do this, and it takes time.
Absolutely. I really, because again, working for these e-commerce platform vendors, yeah, I of course was working with many customers and really saw people struggling with this. I even actually saw even developers in companies, in e-commerce platform companies, were confused quite often about e-commerce concepts. Like what's configurable product? How is it different for configurable bundle? What's actually bundle? Yeah? Or how you do subscription pricing. So I really saw this need, and what was a bit surprising for me, but one of the first kind of customers for my course were e-commerce agencies or IT companies that implementing e-commerce. Yeah. So the people were basically just buying enterprise license for the course to make it part of their onboarding. But if you think about it, they are hiring probably 10, 15 people a month. Yeah. And they may hiring the brightest developers or brightest product manager or brightest salespeople. But these people may not have enough e-commerce knowledge. They may be coming from different industry. Yeah. So to make it part, if you have a big e-commerce team, either internal or you are in business of providing such services and consulting to other companies, implementation services for e-commerce, yeah, then kind of train all your staff on e-commerce, even like salespeople. I had agencies who all salespeople went through the course, because they should, when they are selling their services to clients, they should know e-commerce better than their clients. Otherwise, they don't have credibility.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. And of course, it took me a lot of work to do. I was unrealistically optimistic of how fast I can do it. Yeah, because I have expertise. I even presented a couple of times on conferences about this, so everything should be fine. Yeah. So 1 year later,
Takes time.
It takes time. Yeah. So I have one course online now that more than 5 hours of recorded materials with tests and certification and all of that. I'm using about 400 examples because I really like people to get example from real world. Okay, this is how this company is doing that. Yeah, can you implement in your business? I really the main goal of the course is inspire people to think what they can use in their business. Don't think, okay, we just settle for what our vendor tells us to do. Yeah, or we just take our ERP processes and reproduce them online. Yeah, so like which unfortunately some companies still do. So it's really a question of inspiration and all of that. Yeah, so. This course is online. My goal is that the next 3 months, I'm going to release also course for B2B, because B2B e-commerce is really mushrooming, and B2B organizations, these manufacturers, distributors, they have even less experience in e-commerce. And there's so much they can do, so much best knowledge, best practice that's already available that can really benefit their business. But they basically don't have staff to comprehend it.
So for let's take the B2B as a next wave, right? Or direct to consumer, as people like to call it nowadays, right? As the big next wave that's happening, but maybe a little more slowly. I don't know. Maybe you can comment a bit about that. So what are you seeing there, Michael? And why? So knowledge, it's a challenge because they don't have it in house. They have always done, production going through intermediaries, right? And never needed that. And so why is commerce now a thing for them? And what's your take?
Many of them see Amazon or other e-commerce giants are really eating their lunch. That's kind of really hits the home. Yeah, so to do it. They also see that the buyers who work for their customers, it's a different generation now.
Right.
It's more your age than mine. And they are basically they grew up with e-commerce. They expect the same level usability and simplicity and transparency and all information about products as we really expect as consumers now. So the company, there was research done that some B2B buyers are ready even to pay higher price if they get this convenience of buying online. Like, majority of searches, even for B2B product, research starts online. There's no way of going down this. So basically, if you're not selling online, you really jeopardizing your business, and in several years it can be irrelevant because you cannot provide customers what they need. Yeah.
I think what you're saying is really interesting because my mind just already went to Netflix, and think of the Netflix model where Netflix started, challenging Blockbuster. Nobody believed in them and blah, blah, blah. Commerce as well. You have a credit card there. You can stream stuff, right? So now Netflix has a lot of competitors because Disney and CNN and all of them realized that, wow, Netflix was taking advantage of our movies. So we're going to close our spaces here and ecosystems, so to speak. And so these companies are becoming production companies now because the only way to be innovative is producing new series, if you like, right?
Yes.
So Netflix.
Yeah. That's also right. The art production company.
Yeah, and then if you think of just drawing a parallel here between what you said about Amazon, right? Eating their lunch and a new generation of buyers. Is it fair maybe to think that B2B companies also could be going towards, having their own, creating their own ecosystem, so say if you're Pitney Bowes, in the US, and then you have a bunch of suppliers, but maybe you can go direct to consumers, and then maybe you can also have a marketplace, and
Absolutely.
just going.
Yeah. That's
So,
all kind of goes in. And yeah, I was implementing marketplace when I was at Spryker, and had a lot of interesting customers. It's a fascinating business model, and people don't really realize how many marketplaces could be. And we just think about eBay, Amazon, we just think as consumers about marketplace. But would you see as an airport a marketplace?
Airport,
Probably
yes,
not, yeah?
yes.
But Frankfurt Airport and Munich Airport, they are marketplace. They have their own shop, and they also have a bunch of other shops, and they really create single digital online experience for customers. Yeah. Or you can have a direct-to-consumer brand, or even manufacturers. Yeah, I work with really interesting customers, it's Spryker customers. It's one of the these very old and traditional German companies called Prim. They produce things for craft, like women want to do knitting or sewing and things like that. Yeah, they're 500 years old, but super innovative.
Sure.
Yeah. So they have a lot of suppliers, like big stores. I don't know, Michael's in United States and Canada. Yeah, for example, but they also have a lot of small shops, where just neighborhood shop where some woman who owns this shop, she runs some classes and so on. Yeah, and so they created marketplace that allows these women to create their own, become kind of merchant on this marketplace, offer their classes online, schedule them, offer their design online. Yeah, so the really marketplace model all of a sudden brings all these even small suppliers and digitally enables them. Yeah, so this is just one of examples, and I have hundreds of examples when marketplace makes sense for both B2C and B2B companies. So that's definitely one of the trend, more advanced trend. I think companies first needs to take care of their own digital infrastructure and digital capabilities. But then there's no reason why not to extend it further, this marketplace.
Nice. How about because that's what I see happening in Brazil and probably other countries as well. So maybe one of the first steps is a marketplace. So you were like already a large retailer, right? And then you create a marketplace, but then you have this amount of data that you can maybe create a bank, right? And
yes,
on top of that, and so that's why I meant about, that's what I think I tried to convey with the ecosystem. Yes. There are so many possibilities that sometimes people just think it's e-commerce when it's actually something much more
bigger. Yes, much more bigger. That's you're absolutely right.
Very interesting. Michael, let's talk a little bit about then maybe your views on the future. I think I would love to have a panel with you, as I already said that I will introduce you to someone. We'll speak about this after this podcast. But your views on the future of what you're doing and your I think your take on everything you said today.
Yeah, I definitely want to continue with providing this training for professionals who involved in e-commerce. I'm really focusing on team who are working for medium or large companies, and in one way or another are involved into digital commerce implementations or operations on their side. Yeah, so really this was the reason why I started CommerceIsDigital. Kind of this is my main motivation to spread this knowledge. I think we can all can benefit from it as an industry, and that's this digital commerce skills gaps that I'm trying to help. There's a lot of interesting projects that I'm doing. Also, there's some other people who are interested to extend the school that I'm building with me. And I already mentioned B2B commerce that is a kind of next project, but there's many other ideas that I have. For example, I really see this universal commerce in retail. There's really a revolution happening here. Like with we see this digital area and digital technologies invading physical space. Yeah, from no checkout stores to QR codes everywhere when you can get information about customers. There's really amazing technologies that start even personalizing customer experience inside retail store based on all information you're doing. So I think that's also probably some area where I want to create a course for organizations that have both physical presence and digital presence, and how they can converge these two things together to really grow business on both sides.
Very nice. I saw one sentence here from it's a consultant, e-commerce consultant on LinkedIn, and I would like your take on this. I think I tagged you and I tagged some people because I thought it was interesting. So he says that he's taking a break from LinkedIn, but he just wanted to get this out there. What I do find that most headless vendors get wrong in their messaging, most who are trying to be the next mid-market or up-market Shopify. APIs and decoupling give you flexibility. Flexibility does not always yield results or productivity or low cost of ownership or revenue. Decoupling and flexibility don't even always yield best of breed from an end-to-end solution point of view. In business, the best results are achieved from the best system. Systems are a combination of people, process, and technology working together to generate value, reduce errors, and improve profitability, customer experience, etc. The technology is 20% of it. The people are 50% of it, and the process is 30% of it. What do you make of it?
I think there's a very interesting point, and I have a strong opinion on several of them. So you probably need another meeting. But first of all, I really think that industry did its best to introduce super confusing terminology.
Yeah, for sure.
And market the hell out of it. Yeah. And when I'm consulting people, including some investors, I have very smart people, like super smart people, asking very silly questions. And it's not their fault, it's fault of our industry. So I even created iconography, you can find on my blog, that called Cutting Through E-commerce Vendors Jargon.
Or analysts, if you ask me, Gartners and all of that crap.
Analysts.
I'm sorry, I can say that. Right. So, right, because they dictate what the boards are going to demand from or from whatever without knowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What is this headless? Yeah. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You at the end you still need a head, which is interesting. Like commerce tools, which I have great respect for these companies. They have really great technology, and their CPO is claiming that he invented this headless term. When I had discussion with him about this, but at the end they just bought a head. They just bought company Fantastic that provides head for their headless e-commerce. Yeah, and definitely I'm as former developer, I fully understand this flexibility argument, API first, and that's all absolutely necessary. However, not every customer needs this complexity.
Thanks.
Yeah. there's plenty of customers who saying, oh, you as a vendor provide, it's good that you have API. I think that's mandatory right now, but you have out-of-box storefront. Perfect, I'll take it. It will save me 3 months on development. And yeah, really, I'm not fashion brand, so your store is mostly okay for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think there's things that we got over too much on the side of technology and technology terminology. What's microservices? Why me as a buyer of your software care about microservices? Microservices is a technical term. It's how developer decided to split their software. Yeah. And it's possible that just a shopping cart or checkout is 20 microservices. As a business buyer, do I care or not? There are also many examples when people going overboard with microservices and just do design not the best way and introduce too much complexity. Yeah? So I think what actually Gartner in this case introduced a better term, which is composable commerce, when packaged business capabilities, which we start talking about splitting e-commerce functionality into components that are understood by business. I have cart. Okay, good. I have PIM. This is something product information management. I can understand what it is. Yeah. If it's done internally in 20 microservices, okay, discuss it with my architect, but it's not something that this business needs to understand. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, all these headless and microservices and monolith, and I'm getting question, monolith means not headless. No, monolith can be headless. Shopify is monolith and has APIs. Yeah, mm-hmm. Like people are really mixing this terminology, and honestly, I think it's really vendors and some analysts' fault.
I agree.
Be confusing the market for the sake of not so healthy marketing, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I think that's a very nice way of wrapping this up, to be very honest. Michael, thank you very much for this, for sharing your time, sharing your knowledge. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to definitely be, inviting you to collaborate more if you like. It's been an honor as well to meet you, man. So thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. I really appreciate you inviting me. I enjoy this conversation. I think that you are a great communicator. And anybody who is not following Carlos yet on LinkedIn, please do. It's super inspiration, definitely for me, for sure.
Thanks, Michael.